Oh, that's freaking good. Whew. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm just going to jump right into this. Alright. Chief Security Officer drafts an agreement between an organization and its employees. The agreement outlines ramifications for releasing information without consent and or approvals. Which of the following best describes this type of agreement? It is the Non-Disclosure Act, the NDA. B. Which of the following would meet the requirements for multi-factor authentication? It is fingerprint and password because it's something you have and something you know. This one up here, username, PIN, employee ID number, those are all things you know, so that doesn't count. Smart card and hardware token, those are both things you have, so that doesn't count. Voice recognition and retina scan, those are both things that you are. So the only answer is B, fingerprint and password. A manager suspects that an IT employee with elevated database access may be knowingly modifying financial transactions for the benefit of the competitor. Which of the following practices should the manager implement to validate the concern? It is A, separation of duties. A penetration tester finds the company's login credentials for the email client were being sent to in clear text. Which of the following should be done to provide encrypted logins to the email server? It is D, enable an SSL certificate for IMAP services. Before an infection was detected, several of the infected devices attempted to access a URL that was similar to the company name but with two letters transported. Which of the following best describes the attack vector used to infect the devices? It is typo squatting. Kind of like just change out a letter and stuff and just hope that someone goes to your web-made website that looks just like someone else's website. Just basically one letter off. A system administrator is reviewing the following information from a comprised server. Given the above information, which of the following process was most likely exploited via remote buffer overflow attack? It is A. APACHE, as you can see. No, all zeros, and it's going to go to the remote address. Joe, a security administrator, needs to extend the organization's remote access functionality to be used by staff while traveling. Joe needs to maintain separate access control functionalities for internal, external, and voice-over Internet Protocol services. Which of the following represents the best access technology for Joe to use? It's actually going to be B, TechAx Plus. The availability of a system has been labeled as the highest priority. Which of the following should be focused on the most to ensure the subjective? It is B, HVAC. As you notice, it's going for the most availability, not security. As part of the SDLC, a third party is hired to perform a penetration test. A third party will have access to the source code, integration tasks, and network diagrams. Which of the following best describes the assessment being performed? It is C, white box. And that is because they're giving full access. They know the system. They know everything about it. So they're giving full access to everything to penetrate test it. If it was black box, they wouldn't be told anything at all. And if it was a gray box test, which is even one of the answers on here, that would be like them getting, just the access to be able to get into some little stuff. And then from there, try to exploit everything possible. So this one is white box. A dumpster diver recovers several hard drives from a company and is able to obtain confidential data from one of the hard drives. The company then discovers its information is posted online. Which of the following methods would have most likely prevented the data from being exposed? And that is D, using magnetic fields to erase the data. Which of the following are methods to implement HA in a web application server environment? Please select two. That is A, load balancers, and B, application layer firewalls. An application developer is designing an application involving secure transport from one service to another that will pass over port 80 for a request. Which of the following secure protocols is the developer most likely to use? It's going to be C, SSL. Probably going to be SSL secure tunneling, but Which of the following precautions minimizes the risk from network attacks directed at multifunction printers, as well as the impact on functionality at the same time? It's me A, isolating the systems using VLANs. Kind of like you have all your printers on one VLAN. If you use VoIP, you're going to have all your VoIP phones on a different VLAN, which is Voice over Internet Protocol, as well as in your computers on another VLAN, and your restricted computers on a separate VLAN as well. After identifying a security breach, an analyst is tasked to initiate the IR process. Which of the following is the next step the analyst should take? It's going to be B, identification. A company was recently audited by a third party. The audit revealed the company's network devices were transferring files in the clear. Which of the following protocols should the company use to transfer the files? It is SCP. Whoops, they went one too far. There we go. During a monthly vulnerability scan, a server was flagged for being vulnerable to Apache Struts exploits. Upon further investigation, the developer responsible for the server informed the security team that the Apache Struts is not installed on the server. Which of the following best describes how the security team should reach to this incident? To be A, the finding is a false positive, and B, can be disregarded because it wasn't even found on the server. So how could there be a vulnerability with it not even being on there? A system administrator wants to protect the data stored on a mobile device that are used to scan and record assets in the warehouse. The control must automatically destroy the secure container of mobile devices if they leave the warehouse. Which of the following should the administrator implement? Select 2. It's going to be A, geofencing to know that the device just left the warehouse, and E, containerization, which means it's going to wipe it. Because basically it's going to the geofencing is going to trigger the containerization to then wipe it. A security analyst is performing a quantitative risk analysis. The risk analyst should show the potential monetary loss each time a threat or event occurs. Given this requirement, which of the following concepts would assist in the analyst in determining this value? It's going to be B and D. It's going to be AV, and the D is EF. Which of the following AES modes of operation provide authentication? Select 2. It is CCM and GCM. An audit takes place after company-wide restricting in which several employees change roles. The following deficiencies are found during the audit regarding access to confidential data. Go ahead and read above. Which of the following would best method to prevent similar audit findings in the future? It is A, implement separation of duties for payroll department. A security engineer is configuring a wireless network that must support mutual authentication of the wireless client and the authentication server before user provides credentials. The wireless network must also support authentication of username and passwords. Which of the following authentication protocols must the security engineer select? And it's going to be PEAP, P-A-P. This administrator has finished configuring firewall ACL to allow the access to a new web server or new web answer. Security administrator confirms form the following packet capture that there is network traffic from the internet to the web server. The company's internal auditor issues a security finding and requests that immediate action to be taken. With which of the following is the auditor most concerned? And it's going to be the clear text that you can see in here. So clear text credentials, B. All right, which of the following vulnerability types would the type of hacker known as a script kiddie be most dangerous against? And it's unpatched, exploitable internet-facing services, because script kiddies, they're running set up scripts they find on the internet. A lot of them will just kind of brag like, hey, I'm a hacker, and really they're just running scripts that other people have already developed. And because they're already developed scripts out there, usually they're pretty well known from antiviruses, anti-spyware, all that kind of stuff. So script kiddies basically are only strong against unpatched, exploitable internet-facing services. You really can't break into a normal, everyday system nowadays. An in-house penetration tester is using a packet capture device to listen in on network communications. This is an example of A, passive reconnaissance. They're basically just staying outside, just listening and gathering information. A black hat hacker, which is a bad hacker, is enumerating a network and wants to remain covert during this process. The hacker initiates a vulnerability scan. Given the task at the hand, the requirement of being covert. Which of the following statements best indicates that the vulnerability scan meets the requirements? It is C. Vulnerability scanner is performing a network sniffer mode. So you're just sniffing it. That way you're not actually having to give up any of your own information, your own header, your own anything. You're just sniffing the network. The development team has adopted a new approach to projects in which feedback is iterative and multiple iterations for deployments are provided within an application's full life cycle. Which of the following software development methodologies is the development team using? It is Agile. B. A chief executive officer expects someone in the lab testing environment is stealing confidential information after working hours when no one else is around. Which of the following actions can help prevent this specific threat? And we're going to do D. Require swipe card access to enter the lab, and that way if they are using a swipe card, it'll be logged somewhere saying, okay, they logged in after hours this time stuff went missing. There you go. Caught your bad guy. Company hired a third-party firm to conduct an assessment of vulnerabilities exposed to the internet. The firm informs the company that an exploit exists for an FTP server that had a version installed from 8 years ago. The company has decided to keep the system online anyway. It has no upgrade exists from the vendor, which the following best describes the reason for why the vulnerability exists, and that's because it's end-of-life system. It's end-of-life. Should use other vendors, have vendor diversity. That would prevent this. But end-of-life system is what happened with this. An organization uses SSL authentication for employees to access network resources. When an employee resigns, as per organizational security policy, the employee's access to all network resources is terminated immediately. 2 weeks later, the former employee sends an email to the help desk for a password reset to access payroll information from the human resource server, which one represents the best course of action? It's C. Deny the former employee's request, as the password reset would give the employee access to all network resources. Joe, a user, wants to send Ann, another user, a confidential document electronically. Which following should Joe do to ensure the document is protected from eavesdropping? It enters D. Encrypt it with Ann's public key. And then she's going to in return, use her private key to then open it. Alright, a director of IR is reviewing a report regarding several recent breaches. The director compiles the following statistics: initial IR engagement time frame, length of time before the management notices went out, average IR phase completion. Director wants to use this data to shorten the response time. Which following would accomplish this? And D, use a tabletop exercise. That way you guys can get some numbers and stuff on the books, be able to do pauses in between, make sure everything is all captured, and that way you have statistics to use in a controlled environment without actually damaging anything. To reduce the risk this consumption, an organization's legal department has recently approved a new policy setting the data retention period sent email from 6 months. Which following is the best way to ensure this goal is met? And it's A. Create a daily encrypted backup of the relevant emails. Security administrator is configuring a new network segment which contains devices that will be accessed by external users, such as web and FTP server, which the following represents the most secure way to configure the new network segment. It's going to be D. The segment should be placed on an extranet outside, and the firewall rules should be configured to allow both internal and external traffic, basically any to any from each other. Which of the following types of attacks precedes the installation of a rootkit on a server? And that is C. Privilege escalation. Which of the following cryptographic algorithms is irreversible? And that is the SHA-256. A security analyst receives an alert from a WAF with the following payload. Which of the following types of attacks is this? It is a JavaScript data insertion. Workstation puts out a network request, locate another system. Joe, a hacker on the network, responds before the real system does, and he tricks the workstation into communicating with him instead. Which one best describes what just occurred? That is the hacker exploited weak switch configuration. And that way he actually is now going to receive everything. Basically, you probably made it so it looked like his static IP address matches where that message was originally supposed to go to, and that's going to go right to him. Fuck you, Joe. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap up this video. Click on the next video for some more questions and answers.